Boston Bruins, Bobby Orr. Before Bobby Orr, defensemen played it safe. Then came number 4, flying everywhere on the ice. He joined the Bruins in 1966, and he changed hockey forever. 8 Norris trophies, 2 cups, and the most famous goal ever scored, the one and only airborne goal. Orr didn't just lead rushes, he changed the blueprint of the game. He won scoring titles as a defenseman. He turned the blue line into a launch pad. He played through shredded knees that would have ended anyone else's career. And he kept going, night after night, because Boston demanded it. He wasn't just the best player. They say he saved hockey itself from grinding traps and goon squads. He gave fans artistry, vision, hope, and he did it all for Boston. Toronto Maple Leafs, Wendell Clark. Leafs fans know heartbreak, because they haven't seen a cup since '67. But in the years that followed, they found a hero who matched their spirit, Wendell Clark. Drafted first overall in 1985, he was pure blue-collar thunder on skates. He didn't just score, he hit like a freight train, dropped the gloves without hesitation, and wore every scar with pride. He could change a game with a goal or a fight, and he did it with the captain's C on his chest. Fans packed the gardens just to see his next big hit or booming wrister. Even when injuries stole games from him, he never stopped playing like every shift mattered. Because in Toronto, they don't want flashy. They want honest, fearless, and loyal. Clark wasn't just the Leafs' leader. He was their heartbeat, the standard of toughness they still worship. Montreal Canadiens, Jean Beliveau. Being a Habs fan means worshiping history. 24 cups, countless legends. But ask who embodied the crest best, and you'll hear Jean Beliveau. Calm, commanding, classy. Drafted in 1950, he gave Montreal 10 cups as a player, 7 more in the front office. On the ice, he was a 6'4" artist, combining grace with power. 507 goals, 1,219 points, and the first to lift the cup as captain on national TV. Beliveau wasn't just the Canadiens' captain, he was hockey's gentleman king. He carried himself with dignity, even opponents admired. He shook hands after fights. He comforted rookies. In Montreal, winning wasn't enough. You had to win with style and respect. Beliveau didn't just set that standard, he was the standard. Montreal didn't just love him, they modeled themselves after him. Chicago Blackhawks, Stan Mikita. Chicago's hockey soul is grit and skill, and no one had more of both than Stan Mikita. Born in Slovakia, grew up on the tough Chicago ice, started as a penalty magnet, evolved into a Lady Byng winner without losing an edge. Art Ross winner, Hart Trophy winner, innovator of the curved stick. He made Chicago feared in the 60s. 541 goals, 926 assists, 1 cup in 1961 that they're still talking about. He didn't just score, he led by example, working every shift like it was Game 7. He mentored young stars, battled rivals without backing down, and wore the Hawks crest like armor. For Hawks fans, Mikita wasn't just great, he was their first true legend. The man who taught Chicago how to win and how to do it their way. Detroit Red Wings, Gordie Howe. They called him Mr. Hockey. Enough said. Gordie Howe didn't just play hockey, he was hockey. 801 goals, 1,850 points, 4 cups in Detroit. He fought, he scored, he set up goals. He played into his 50s, literally on the same line as his son. Howe was toughness with talent, class with violence, elbows that taught respect, hands that built records. He dominated every era he touched and made it look routine. Fans in Detroit didn't see a superstar. They saw one of their own, clocking in, working overtime, never complaining. And in Detroit, a blue-collar town that worships hard work, he wasn't just their greatest, he was their identity. The Red Wings weren't just his team, they were his legacy. New York Rangers, Mark Messier. Before 1994, Rangers fans had 54 years of pain. One man ended it. Mark Messier came from Edmonton with 5 rings already, promised a win in Game 6 of the conference finals, and delivered with a hat trick. Then, he lifted the cup in Madison Square Garden, ending the drought. Messier wasn't just a scorer, he was a force of will. He stared down the pressure of New York, embraced the spotlight, and never blinked. He led by example, by words, by sheer presence. Teammates didn't just follow him, they believed because he did. In New York, they didn't just want skill. They wanted a leader who refused to lose, who could handle the weight of an entire city's expectations. Messier gave them that, and became a forever legend, the captain who finally kept the promise. Pittsburgh Penguins, Mario Lemieux. Pittsburgh had bankruptcy notices on the scoreboard before Mario Lemieux arrived. Then, everything changed. 6 feet, 4 inches. Hands like silk. Vision like no one else. 2 cups as a player, 3 more as an owner. He beat cancer, back problems, defensive traps, and entire teams designed to stop him. 690 goals. 1,723 points in fewer games than anyone else in the top 10. He didn't just save plays, he saved hockey in Pittsburgh. He literally bought the team to keep it in the city. He turned a near-empty Civic Arena into a cathedral of hockey greatness. Every move was poetry, every goal a reminder of why fans fell in love with the game in the first place. When Penguins fans say Le Magnifique, they don't just mean skill, they mean salvation, loyalty, and the promise that no matter how bad it gets, greatness can always come home. Washington Capitals, Alex Ovechkin. For years, the Capitals were the team that always fell short. Then Ovi showed up. Drafted first overall in 2004, he blasted 50-goal seasons for fun. Pure power, thunderous hits. A shot goalies feared even when they knew it was coming. He wasn't just scoring, he was smashing through defenses, electrifying crowds, and dragging the franchise out of mediocrity. In 2018, he finally delivered the cup, screaming with joy on the Vegas ice, tears in his eyes as he lifted it high. Close to 900 goals, he changed the city's hockey culture from pessimism to pride. He's not just the greatest Capital, he's the greatest pure scorer of all time. Washington didn't just get a superstar, they got a legendary warrior who delivered. Philadelphia Flyers, Bobby Clarke. Philly hockey is blood, sweat, missing teeth, and Bobby Clarke embodied all of it. Drafted in 1969, the diabetic kid who wasn't supposed to make it became captain of the Broad Street Bullies. 2 straight cups, 3 Hart trophies. He slashed, chirped, scored, set up teammates, and fought for every inch. He played with a snarl, leading brawls one shift and threading perfect passes the next. He wasn't there to make friends. He was there to win by any means. In Philly, they don't want pretty, they want tough, honest, unapologetic. Clarke made sure they got it, setting the tone for generations of Flyers who would wear the orange and black like armor. He didn't just lead a team, he built an identity they still chant his name for. New Jersey Devils, Martin Brodeur. Before Brodeur, the Devils were a punchline. After him, 3 cups, a dynasty built on defense. Marty was the wall, 691 wins, 125 shutouts, the puck-handling pioneer who turned dump-ins into breakouts. Cool as ice in Game 7. He didn't just stop pucks, he read plays like a book, turned chaos into calm, and frustrated scorers so badly they changed the rules to slow him down. He was the backbone of the neutral zone trap, the reason Jersey could choke the life out of games. And when the moment was biggest, he was unflappable, always giving his team the chance to win. He didn't just make the Devils the standard for defense-first hockey, he defined them. Jersey fans didn't just respect him, they worshipped him, knowing every banner in the rafters started with number 30 in the crease. New York Islanders, Mike Bossy. 4 straight cups, 19 straight playoff series wins. At the center, Mike Bossy. 50-plus goals in 9 straight seasons. The quickest release the league had ever seen. Quiet off the ice, lethal on it. He didn't fight, he didn't chirp. He just scored and scored and scored. He made goalies guess, defenders panic, and fans rise before the puck even hit the net. He was hockey's silent assassin, respectful in interviews, ruthless in the slot. Even when battered by injuries, he refused to compromise his game, walking away rather than playing at less than his best. When Islanders fans talk about the dynasty, they know. Without Bossy, there is no dynasty. He wasn't just part of their greatness, he was the guarantee of it, the man who turned chances into banners. Tampa Bay Lightning, Steven Stamkos. Tampa wasn't a hockey town until they drafted number 91. Stamkos survived broken legs, trade rumors, endless injuries, and still scored over 500 goals, but he didn't become the Lightning's GOAT until he lifted the cup twice. He gave them leadership when it mattered most, scoring in the final after a year of surgeries. He turned a Sunbelt market into a legit powerhouse. In Tampa, he's not just the captain, he's the blueprint. Colorado Avalanche, Joe Sakic. When the franchise moved from Quebec, it needed an identity. Joe Sakic gave it one. Captain, sniper, playmaker, 2 cups in Colorado, Conn Smythe winner. Quiet leadership that demanded respect. His wrist shot was death to goalies, but it was the 2001 Cup run, when he handed the cup to Ray Bourque, that cemented his legend. In Denver, Sakic isn't just the best, he's the conscience of the franchise. Vancouver Canucks, Pavel Bure. The Canucks don't have a cup, but they have Pavel Bure highlights that will live forever. The Russian Rocket, drafted in 1989, had speed no one had ever seen. Explosive, unpredictable, 60-goal seasons. He didn't just skate, he ignited the rink, leaving defenders frozen as he flew past. Every time he touched the puck, you held your breath because something wild was about to happen. And that 1994, the run to the final, he was the heartbeat, scoring overtime winners, pumping fists, dragging Vancouver to the brink of history. Injuries cut his career short, but the legend only grew. Because he wasn't just a star, he was hope incarnate, the reason fans dared to dream. Short career, but ask any fan, who made you believe? They'll say Beret without blinking, the Rocket who made Vancouver believe anything was possible. Edmonton Oilers, Wayne Gretzky. There's no debate. The great one isn't just the Oilers' GOAT, he's hockey's GOAT. 4 cups in Edmonton, 215 points in one season. Records that won't just stand, they'll fossilize. But it wasn't just stats. Gretzky turned a small market Canadian team into a dynasty. He made line mates millionaires, forced defenses to invent new schemes, and left fans speechless nightly. He saw plays before they existed, made passes no one else would dare, and racked up points like they were inevitable. When he was on the ice, it wasn't just hockey, it was art. And when he was traded, the whole country cried. The city felt betrayed, like they'd lost more than a player. They'd lost a dream. But even after he left, the legacy he built in Edmonton never faded. Edmonton's history is built on oil. Its legend is built on 99, the player who taught them how to win and made them believe they were the center of the hockey universe. Calgary Flames, Jerome Egenla. Calgary loves toughness, heart, loyalty. Jerome Egenla had all of it in spades. 2-time 50-goal scorer. Rocket Richard Winner. Fights? He didn't shy away. Leadership? He wore the C for nearly a decade. In 2004, he dragged Calgary to within 1 win of the cup, scoring, hitting, even throwing punches with Lecavalier in the final. For Flames fans, Egenla wasn't just the best player. They felt like he was one of them, blue-collar, proud, unbreakable. Los Angeles Kings, Marcel Dionne. LA has always been a city of stars, but before Gretzky put them on the map, Marcel Dionne gave them credibility. Drafted first overall in 1971, he didn't just score, he dazzled. Over 1,300 points with the Kings. Art Ross Trophy. 6 straight 100-point seasons with the Kings. He carried the franchise when it had little else, turning empty seats into believers with slick passes and highlight reel goals. He didn't have the cup runs. He didn't have the national spotlight. But he was pure offense, night after night. A magician in purple and gold. In a city built on spectacle, Dionne was the original show, the player who proved hockey could shine in Hollywood. San Jose Sharks, Patrick Marleau. The Sharks have never won a cup, but they had Patrick Marleau, and that mattered. Drafted 2nd overall in 1997, he became the franchise leader in goals, games, everything. He was so consistent. He broke Gordie Howe's games played record, speed, leadership, longevity. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, he was always there. In San Jose, they didn't get a parade, but they got decades of loyalty. And for Sharks fans, that was worth everything. Anaheim Ducks, Teemu Selanne. If joy on skates had a face, it was Teemu Selanne. The Finnish Flash arrived in the NHL with 76 goals as a rookie, but in Anaheim, he became a legend. 457 goals in Ducks colors, endless highlight reels. He wasn't just fast, he was breathtaking, turning defenders inside out, roofing shots at full speed, and celebrating with that iconic arm-raising grin. He connected with fans in a way few players ever do, always smiling, always approachable, always the showman. And in 2007, he finally lifted the cup at 36, tears on his face, fans screaming as decades of hope turned into reality. He didn't just score, he made hockey fun in Orange County. He made kids want to lace up. Ask any Ducks fan. There's before Teemu and after Teemu, and Anaheim will always be his town. St. Louis Blues, Brett Hull. If you wanted goals, you wanted Brett Hull. No one shot it harder, faster, or with less warning. 86 goals in a single season. 3 straight years over 70. He made goalies miserable and fans ecstatic. He didn't just score, he intimidated, standing at the hash marks, daring you to stop him. He had swagger in a city that craved an edge, chirping defenders, flashing that cocky grin after yet another snipe. St. Louis never won the cup with him, but he made them contenders every year and packed the old arena with believers who lived for that booming one-timer. When he scored, he didn't just celebrate, he let the whole building explode. The Blues have had greats. None were as dangerous, as electric, or as unapologetically themselves as Hull. Dallas Stars, Mike Modano. Hockey in Texas? People laughed. Mike Modano made them watch. Drafted 1st overall in 1988, he gave Dallas flash, speed, and legitimacy. He could skate past anyone, score from anywhere. Over 1,300 points. He didn't just score, he did it with style, his jersey flapping behind him as he flew down the wing. And in 1999, he led Dallas to its first cup, playing with a broken wrist in the final, refusing to quit when the team needed him most. He wasn't just the face of the franchise, he was the proof hockey could thrive in the Lone Star State. He sold out rinks, inspired kids to pick up sticks in football country, and made the Stars part of Texas identity. In a non-traditional market, he didn't just sell tickets. He built a hockey culture from scratch. Modano wasn't just the Stars' best. He was Texas hockey, the pioneer who made it all possible. Winnipeg Jets, Dale Hawerchuk. Before Winnipeg lost its team, before they got it back, there was Dale Hawerchuk. Drafted first overall in 1981, he gave the Jets instant credibility. 5 100-point seasons, 929 points in Winnipeg alone. He faced stacked Oilers dynasties and still produced nightly. Quiet leader, consummate pro. When the team left, fans mourned Hawerchuk just as much. To this day, ask any old-school fan, who was the Jets' heartbeat? They'll say Ducky. Minnesota Wild, Mikko Koivu. The Wild have always been built on defense, structure, grind. Mikko Koivu was all of that in a single player. Drafted 6th overall in 2001, he became the franchise's first true captain. The best defensive center of his era, not named Bergeron. Quiet, steady, clutch. Nearly 700 points in Minnesota colors. He wasn't the flashiest, but he was the leader they needed to be respected. In the state of hockey, Koivu gave the Wild their first real identity. Nashville Predators, Pekka Rinne. Nashville wanted to be a hockey town. Pekka Rinne made them believe. Drafted 258th overall, he arrived as an unknown and became a brick wall. Vezina winner, nearly 370 wins, countless highlight reel saves, and in 2017, he backstopped the Preds to their first Cup final, making Broadway roar. Nashville hockey is guitars, catfish, and Pekka Rinne robbing shooters blind. He wasn't just their goalie, he was their hope. Columbus Blue Jackets, Rick Nash. Columbus hasn't seen many playoff runs, but they saw Rick Nash make them matter. Drafted first overall in 2002, he scored from angles that didn't exist. Rocket Richard winner with 41 goals in 2004. He dragged bad teams to relevance with power, finesse, and leadership. Nearly 550 points in Columbus colors. He didn't just score, he carried the team on his back, often the only threat opponents feared. He gave a new franchise an identity when it desperately needed one, making highlight reels in a city still learning the sport. Fans didn't just cheer, they believed because he made them believe. He stayed loyal through lean years, gave the crowd someone to wear on their backs, and filled the building with hope. For fans who waited for a hero, Nash wasn't just it. He was everything. Arizona Coyotes, now Utah Mammoth. Shane Doan. The Coyotes have had bankruptcies, relocations, and endless rumors. Through it all, Shane Doan stayed. Drafted in 1995 with Winnipeg, he moved with the team to Arizona and never left. Over 400 goals, over 900 points. He fought, hit, scored, led. He gave the franchise stability and fans someone to cheer for when there was nothing else. In the desert, hockey felt impossible. Doan made it real. Ottawa Senators, Daniel Alfredsson. Ottawa needed credibility in the 90s. Alfredsson delivered it. Drafted 133rd overall, he became captain, leader, scorer. Over 1,100 points. Clutch playoff performances, including that 2007 Cup final run. He wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the biggest, but he played like every shift might be his last. He battled in corners, killed penalties, and delivered big goals when the city held its breath. He wore the C with pride, even when the team struggled, answering questions, shouldering blame, and demanding better. Fans saw his loyalty when he could have left. They felt his frustration when it slipped away. For Senators fans, Alfie wasn't just the face of the team. He was the team, the heart, the voice, the warrior who made Ottawa believe they belonged on hockey's biggest stage. Florida Panthers, Alexander Barkov. The Panthers have had bright moments, but no one represents them like Alexander Barkov. Drafted 2nd overall in 2013, he became the NHL's best two-way center. Selke winner. Franchise records for goals and points. And in 2024, he captained them to their first ever Stanley Cup, and also won the Stanley Cup back-to-back in 2025. Quiet, humble, devastatingly effective. In Miami's chaos, Barkov was cool as ice, and exactly what they needed to finally win. Seattle Kraken, Matty Beniers. A new franchise, a new hope. Matty Beniers is young, but he's already the face. Drafted 2nd overall in 2021, he won the Calder as Rookie of the Year and led the Kraken to their first playoff series win in only their 2nd season. Fast, smart, competitive. He's not just the first star, they're building the culture around him. In Seattle, Beniers is the promise of everything to come. Vegas Golden Knights, Mark Stone. Vegas wasn't supposed to win this fast, but then they got Mark Stone. Traded from Ottawa in 2019, he became the face of the franchise the moment he arrived. Captain, defensive nightmare, playoff closer. No one strips pucks cleaner, no one roars louder after a goal. In 2023, he lifted the cup as captain, delivering Vegas its first championship in style, with a hat trick in the final game. Stone didn't just lead, they followed. In a city built on bright lights and big bets, he was the sure thing that finally cashed in. Buffalo Sabres, Dominik Hasek. Buffalo's never won the cup, but they had Dominik Hasek, and that was almost enough. The Dominator didn't just stop pucks, he humiliated shooters, 6 Vezinas, 2 Hart trophies as a goalie. flailing saves that somehow always worked. He didn't care about style points. He cared about stopping everything, no matter how awkward it looked. In 1999, he dragged the Sabres to the final almost single-handedly, stopping everything except Brett Hull's skate in the crease. Fans still argue about that goal, because for Buffalo, it was the closest they'd ever been, all on his back. Buffalo is a blue-collar town, and Hasek gave them a superstar who worked as hard as they did, even if it meant twisting his body into impossible shapes. He was fierce, unpredictable, impossible to rattle. He wasn't just the Sabres' best, he was a miracle in pads. The reason Buffalo dared to believe they could win it all. Carolina Hurricanes, Rod Brind'Amour. Carolina hockey was a joke to purists until Rod Brind'Amour gave it teeth. Acquired in 2000, he became captain, conscience, and warrior. He didn't just score, he won faceoffs, killed penalties, and blocked shots with his body. In 2006, he lifted the cup on home ice, a moment no Canes fan will ever forget. Now, he's the coach, still setting the standard. In Raleigh, they don't talk about fancy. They talk about working like Brind'Amour. He didn't just lead them, he defined them.